You have got to change the way you think. It is the whole determining factor of where you go in life. We are all where we are today because we thought ourselves to this position. If you don't like the position, think yourself out of it. Change your attitude, you change your altitude. I'm going to tell you something that every successful person has to do, including you. Believe it or not, every successful person in this world has jumped. I'm going to tell you what I mean by that. You are going to have to jump. You cannot just exist in this life. You have got to try to live. If you are waking up thinking that it's got to be more to your life than it is, man, believe that it is. Believe in your heart of hearts that it is. But to get to that life, you're going to have to jump. You see people in life, when you're standing on the cliff of life and you see people soaring by, when you see people soaring, going to exotic places, you hear about them doing wonderful things. Maybe you look up the street and your neighbor just gets a car every year, every 2 years. You know, how is he doing that? Have you ever thought, maybe this person right here has identified their gift and is living in their gift? Because your Bible says, your gift will make room for you. Your gift, not your education. You go get an education, that's nice. But if you don't use your gift, that education only gonna take you so far. I know a lot of people got degrees, man, they ain't even using it. It's your gift. But the only way for you to soar is you got to jump. You got to take that gift that's packed away on your back. You got to jump off that cliff and pull that cord. That gift opens up and provides the soar. If you don't ever use it, you're going to just go to work. And if you're getting up going to work on a job every day that you hate going to, that ain't living, man. You just existed. At one point in time, you ought to see what living's like. But the only way to see what living like, you got to jump. And here's the problem. Let me just be real with you. When you first jump, let me tell you something. Your parachute will not open right away. I'm sorry. I wish I could tell you it did, but it don't. When you jump, it's not going to open right away. You're going to hit them rocks. You're going to get some skin tore off on them cliffs. You're going to get all your clothes tore off. You're going to get some cuts on you. You're going to be bleeding pretty bad. But eventually, the parachute has to open. That is a promise of God. Here's another thing. You can play it safe and deal without the cuts and the tears. And you can stand on that cliff of life forever safe. But if you don't jump, I got another promise I can make you. Your parachute will never open. You'll never know. You'll never know what God really has. I was speaking at a school once. I was talking to the students. The principal was mortified with my message because I was telling the truth. I was telling the kids, your education is important, but your education is not the most important thing in your life. I'm sorry, it's not. Your dream is the most important thing in this world. Principal came up on the stage while I was speaking. Don't ever say that to my school again. Well, I'm just telling you, dog. You could save your kids a lot of pain if you ever talk to them about their dreams. You got to talk to young people about their dreams. If you talk to kids about their dreams, your dreams can spur you to get the education. But if you never find out what a child is dreaming about, you can't hold their attention. It's the dream, man. You got to dream about something so big that it dwarfs all your fears. The way you overcome fear is with your dream. You got to make your dream so big that nothing matters except that dream. You're willing to do everything that's necessary. I was listening to Will Smith the other day. Will Smith said the best things in life is on the other side of fear. It's on the other side of fear. But fear freezes people, man. The fear of failure freezes people. Suppose I don't do it. Well, you might not make it. But I got news for you. If you don't do it, you damn sure ain't gonna make it.
And it's easy to lose that sense of vision in your life through disappointments. Hey, we've all had them. You get all excited about something and then, life seems to crush it. Somebody betrays you. You betray yourself. You don't follow through, and then you don't trust yourself at the same level. What makes somebody a leader is they build this certainty, and not only with focus, not only do they get a vision for what they want, but they bring that certainty in their body. Listen, if you've ever been to one of my live events, you know that one of the greatest things about, let's say, Unleash the Power Within is you go through a weekend where you literally train your nervous system to have certainty. I mean, how the heck do we get people to storm through fire? It's not about firewalking. It's about getting yourself to be able to take action in the areas of your life that normally you would more than hold back, where your brain would take over and say, I can't do this, are you crazy? Somebody else did it, but not me. What we do is get people in a state where you're gonna follow through, where you're gonna face your fear and do it anyway. And the way we do that, besides changing people's focus, showing you how to direct and control that focus, is also by learning how to use your body as the tool to change your state. Listen, if I dropped my shoulders enough, I would have breathed shallow enough, if I would have slowed down and say, I don't know, I'll give it a try. You go into this state, I'd be like Samson getting his hair cut off, right? Because what we don't realize is that our mind is directly affected by the way we use our body. If you change the tempo in which you move, if you change the way you breathe, if you change the way you use your voice, you literally change your biochemistry. And the one thing that you'll see that's the same with the greatest golfer in the world, or the greatest musician, or the greatest, actor, is they have this sense of certainty. And it isn't born. It's something that you make as a habit. You drill it into yourself. I sure as heck didn't have that sense of certainty growing up, not even close. And what I found myself doing early on is I felt so uncertain, I couldn't get myself to do anything. So I developed these rituals of certainty. I would go on these runs, and on the run, even though I didn't feel like it, I would do these incantations where I would say out loud over and over again, God's wealth is circulating in my life. His wealth flows to me in avalanches of abundance. All my needs, desires, and goals are met instantaneously by infinite intelligence. For I'm one with God, and God is everything. And I would say that over and over and over for 30 minutes. Just crazy. And I would envision it, God circulating, his wealth circulating my life. And I'd see the wealth of love and friendship and impact and growth and economics and all these things, physical fitness and aliveness. I'd see this wealth of abundance flowing, oceans of it, into my life as I went and did these things. If you envision something clearly enough and you bring certainty to it over and over again, if you engage your physical body in a simple ritual, it could be as little as 10 minutes a day. I call it my hour of power, or 15 minutes to be fulfilled. And all you do is you take 5 minutes, and in those first 5 minutes, you get yourself moving, and you get yourself in a state of certainty in the way you move and the way you breathe. You focus on what you're excited about in your life. You focus on what you want to create, what you want to bring to your children, what you want to bring to the world. And it changes your state. We all know what happens when you're out of state, when you're burnt out, when you're frustrated, when you're overwhelmed. You snap at people sometimes, feel bad about it. You didn't mean to, it's just the state you're in. So to thrive this year, take uncertainty and bring certainty to it. To thrive this year, get what I call a compelling future. Pick anything, a goal, a dream, a desire, something that excites you so much that you're gonna feel yourself compelled to actually find a way to make it happen. You've done it before. You've gotten obsessed. You don't even know how you did it, but things happen and you got yourself to where you want to be. Let's make that happen this year, right now. Regardless if it's later in the year or the beginning of the year you're watching this, I made this so that hopefully I'd remind you of what you know, that you're made to thrive, not survive.
Program your mind deliberately. The reason that most people don't achieve their goals is because they are thinking like everybody else. 16 revolutionary words. Be ye not conformed to this world. Be ye transformed by the renewing of your mind. That's an ongoing process. What are your goals? What are your dreams? Earl Nightingale was right. You don't get in life what you want. You get in life what you are. And so you want to take the time every day to listen to things that can help to program your mind positively, because at the end of the day, if you don't program your mind, it's going to be programmed. Trust me, it's going to be bombarded with all kind of head trash, commercials. I was at a service station pumping gas and a commercial came up. I mean, you get on the elevator and commercials are there. You look at billboards, there are messages that's coming in, over 5,000, 10,000 messages on a regular basis. And so as you look at your goals and dreams, it's very important that you are intentional about controlling what goes on in your mind, because everything gets in through the eyes and through the ears. So, what do you want? What do you want for yourself? What I'm doing right now, I didn't do it for 14 years. You know why? Because I was suffering from possibility blindness. Have you thought about doing something and you looked at what you wanted to do and your heart said, I could do that. And then your mind asked, how? And then you start thinking, well, I can't do that. I don't have a college education. I can't do that. I don't have an MBA or a PhD. I can't do that. I've never worked for a major corporation. Why would corporations reach over people with PhDs and MBAs and years of experience and pay me to come in to do something I've never done? I thought about doing this for years, and I talked myself out of it. There's an African proverb that says, if there's no enemy within, the enemy outside can do us no harm. Shakespeare says, therefore, dear Brutus, it's not in our stars, but in ourselves that we are underlings. And so as you look at yourself and look at your goals and look at your dreams, I'm saying to you that it's possible. Because if anybody at any point in time had a goal, had a dream of what they wanted to achieve, and they made it happen, then it's possible that you can do it too. But you've got to be intentional about programming your mind.
Being prepared for the next thing is so wildly critical. I think life in general is rise and fall. Everything is rise and fall. And there's been a couple times in my life where I got caught holding on to the last wave while it's dying.
Oh, I have a good quote for that.
Yeah.
I have a Casey Neistat quote,
What Casey
which
said?
is like that. I don't even think he probably didn't make this up, but Tarzan can't get to the next branch if he doesn't let go of the first one.
Absolutely.
And that's kind of that
real.
same philosophy.
Yep, absolutely. And you've got to be, when you're grabbing that first one and you're holding it, it's going to be there. It's fantastic, but you got to know that you're going to have to let go at some point. Because the same thing that saved your life, if you hang on, it'll kill you.
I look at the world through a lens of comedy, right? So my natural reaction is always, no matter when something happens and I can't even help it, it's why is that funny?
It takes such a desperate, obsessive focus to excel on the level that I want to make movies.
Choose actions that are in your own best interest. Every day, we are choosing that's not in our own best interest.
We have to be able to be vulnerable
in front of anybody. You know, you have to be comfortable looking silly. You have to be comfortable making mistakes. And you have to break the thing inside of you that doesn't want people to see, right? Because as soon as you allow people to see, all of a sudden you get access to things that you didn't realize you had access to, right? For example, like a thing I used to do is when I was probably 18 or 19 years old, I got in touch with those blocks. The camera hates emotional blocks. Like you put a camera in somebody's face and they're uncomfortable about delivering the emotion. It looks fake and you feel it. You immediately know it's not real, right? Especially look at the size of this screen. And in a shot, that whole screen could be just your eyes, right? So it's like you can't hide discomfort and uncertainty. So you have to be able to get comfortable, you know, just.
I look at the world through a lens of comedy, right? So my natural reaction is always, no matter when something happens, and I can't even help it, it's why is that funny? You know, so even at a funeral, I can't help but think why that's funny, you know? So it's extremely helpful for me just psychologically that no matter what's going on, I can't keep my mind from finding jokes, you know? So it's a beautiful way to stay joyous and positive.
Overcoming the negative conversation, that inner dialogue that's going on all the time, even you don't want it to be there. You can't stop yourself right now from thinking. You can't do it. It's going on. And so learning how to empower yourself, part of doing that is standing up to yourself. You've got to stand up inside yourself sometimes and say, shut up. You've got to do this. I was going to give a presentation, and this voice inside of me saying, you can't do this. You don't have everything it takes. I shut up. I'm behind on my bills, and you're telling me what I can't do. I have got to do it. You'll get scared sometimes. Your mind will go blank on you. Some people you will allow to unnerve you, and you wonder, what's wrong with me? I'm not crazy. That's why you've got to learn to make a conscious, deliberate, determined effort to stand up inside yourself. Working on yourself, watching that inner dialogue, it will determine the quality of your life. Next thing is that you've got to activate the thinker in you. Don't allow your emotions to control you. We are emotional, but you want to begin to discipline your emotion. If you don't discipline and contain your emotions, they will... Your mind goes on automatic, just like a guard. You know, I loved reading the book called As a Man Thinketh by James Allen. He uses the analogy of the mind being like a garden. You know, weeds don't have to have any encouragement to grow. You don't have to water them. They don't have to get sunshine. They don't have to have fertile ground. They will grow through the cracks of a sidewalk. Am I right? But if you want to grow orchids or roses or any kind of exotic flowers, there are special processes and procedures you must go through. Well, by the same token, you don't have to force yourself or motivate yourself to think negatively, to be depressed, to hate somebody, to want revenge, to want to get back at somebody, to beat yourself up over the head, to feel loaded with guilt. You don't have to make any effort to do that. Your mind is on automatic. It will do that by itself.
I'm saying this is the time more than ever that you want to begin to inoculate yourself with positive words, coming to conventions, showing up on meetings, being on the calls, to make yourself unstoppable, to get out of your mind the polluting negative thoughts that's causing most people to go through life being stuck because they're volunteer victims. Somebody said that many people die at age 25 and don't get buried until they're 65 because they got so much garbage in their minds. You are here because you've got a clear vision of what you want and where you're going.